Bayhackle Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to the Delano Little Show, BayhackleSports.com. Today I've got a really dear friend of mine. We have known each other for a long time, Dan Rajkowski with the Charlotte Knights. And when I met you, and I mean we've had a long time friendship that dates back to when the ballpark was in Fort Mill. Now it's in Uptown Charlotte. You're a big person responsible for all that. You're general manager now. You're the chief operating officer. And you're a big deal. You just are.
I wouldn't say that.
You've done a lot for this community with what you've done with the Charlotte Knights. And take me back to how you started and how you kind of got involved in this. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally from a small town in upstate New York, Marcellus. Grew up there, family of 8 kids.
Family of 8, where were you?
I was the troubled middle child. But grew up as a small town working on a farm. My dad was a carpenter. My mom, later on, after my dad got sick, she went to nursing school, supported a family, was wonderful, and still today. I moved out of Marcellus, that area, right when I got out of college and got into this great game of baseball.
Now, were you back in Marcellus, were you a sports person?
I played 3 sports, football, basketball, baseball. Not good at any one of them. That's why I wear a suit now. But loved them all and enjoyed playing sports. And when I got an opportunity in college, that was my degree, was in sports management. And somehow I wanted to be associated, but really didn't know how. And got a chance. A guy gave me a chance as an internship in Auburn, New York, and that's where I started. And he went to Florence, South Carolina, very close to us. That's where I got my start at 22 years old. He left, and I became general manager at 23, not knowing anything.
Get out of here.
And here I am 38 years later, loving this game, loving this city. 16 years here, as you mentioned. We've known each other a long time. What a great place to live. And my hope is that I can finish my career here. Been a lot of fun. Been a lot of challenges, but a lot of fun.
So that was what you've always wanted to do. You were meant to do that.
I guess I was. You know, I didn't know that at the time. I knew that I enjoyed sports. Actually, to be truthful, baseball was my least favorite at that time. Okay. But I had an opportunity, and I just got that feel, and I liked the part of sales, and I liked seeing the part of families being involved, and never really had aspirations at the major league level. Always felt, you know, again, being a general manager at a very young age, and that's all I've done. It was nice. I was my own boss and was able to work in some wonderful markets, most of them very small, anywhere from Little Falls, New York, town of 5,000 people, to Myrtle Beach, Knoxville. I spent a large part of my career and built a ballpark. And
you were just talking about it. We were mentioning Judy Rose, who we've interviewed here on the Delano Little Show, former athletic director at UNC Charlotte. You're a good friend. You know her.
Good friend.
And you met through Tennessee. When she was at Tennessee, I told you, I said, she knew Pat Summitt, and you knew her too.
The sports world is so funny. It's a fraternity of, you know, before that we're talking about Fred Whitfield and our mutual friendships. And I think that's one of the great things about sports is that you connect in a very positive way, whether it's cross sports of no matter what it is. I think sometimes you just run into each other, and it's really fascinating. And we all respect each other's careers because they're similar in that our commitment to them, from the hours, travel, those kind of things. So it's a unique industry to be in, any of them. But thankful that I'm in it still.
Charlotte Knights, how did you get involved with them? How did that come about?
Well, it actually dates back to Knoxville when I was working with the Toronto Blue Jays, owned that AA team, and Don Beaver had just sold all of his nursing homes and decided he wanted to get into the baseball business. He played in the Little League World Series, actually. And he wanted to get in the baseball business. And so he bought minor league teams. And he bought the Knoxville team that I was currently working at. And I ran the team there. We built a ballpark in Sevierville. It's right off I-40. I was involved in all the facets of that. And I've worked for Don for 3 different teams, Knoxville, New Orleans, and Charlotte for 27 years.
Wow.
Never had a contract. You want to come back, Dan? Yeah, okay, well, let's do this again. And that's very rare in any kind of sports industry to be able to work for the same owner. And it's really great. You know, it's a phone call away and very supportive of this effort. As you well know, this was a challenge getting this thing built here in Charlotte. But, you know, 8 years later, can you believe it?
Yeah, unbelievable. And Don Beaver, let me just send some kudos to him.
Sure.
You know, we were talking earlier another episode that we were doing about Rick Hendrick, a dear friend of mine who has been very supportive of anything that I've ever done and very supportive of the community. Don Beaver the same way. I mean, he I can remember with the opening day at Charlotte Knights Stadium in Uptown, and I was there, and he was kind enough to do an interview with me right before the game started live, and he and his family have just been phenomenal. I imagine that you've looked up to him for many years, like you've worked for them, but that's a great family to be associated with.
Well, it really is, and he's very passionate about the game, and I guess I don't know how I would describe it. It's been a great relationship. You know, he listens, he thinks through things. I think over the course of time that their trust factor is there. He knows I have the Knights' best interest. He does as well. And there's not enough time to tell the true story of the times that the challenges that we had where I was kind of leading this thing, and his support was, Dan, you know, don't worry about it if we can't get it done. And, you know, if we do, you know, it'll be great. And I'm behind you. And that was important because a lot of ownerships may have bailed with some of the challenges we had and just said, forget it, we'll stay in Fort Mill, we'll move the team. We both knew that if it got here, it would be tremendously successful, and it has been, due in part to this great community. You know, we can put you a nice building, and it's the best skyline in the world, and we love our ballpark, but it's the fans that make it work, and it's the sponsors that made it work, and it's the public-private partnership that we put together that Mecklenburg County and the city of Charlotte and Center City Partners and all these people, finally they all aligned. Things had to work, and you know, it's great to go to work every day.
Well, you know, I mentioned Don Beaver back on that day. I remember interviewing you as well. I'm sure you've interviewed many people on that particular day, but take me back then to what it was like, because you had, like you said, you had a long fight to get it uptown. And everybody knew it was the right move to make, but it took a lot. What were your emotions there, and how has that carried through to today?
Well, most of my family came down, and you know, most of them live in central New York, and the majority of them came, and my mom came, and I know how important it was for her to be here. And then just to be out in the outfield and to see Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the White Sox, and to see this beautiful facility and see it full of people. And yes, we were a minor league baseball team getting major league exposure. And I think that, to me, it was very gratifying. You know, there's a lot of jobs that you can't see the fruits of your labor. You know, you can go in any particular job every day and do the same thing. We don't. And it was great to stand out there and see it. And I experience it on the July 4th every year. That same kind of emotion at Sky Show when you see 10,000 people at Truist Field and you see another 25,000 watching our fireworks show. You just know that you're doing something good. And I think that's probably the most gratifying part of it. And I still enjoy it to now. To see a full house, there's nothing better.
Highlight of the year of your career, would it have been the 2014 Executive of the Year award, getting that?
I think it was more the opening day. I mean, you know, they give those awards. I've never, like a lot of people say, that it doesn't hang in my house or my living room. It's something that was a result of everything falling in line. And I shared that with my staff. And, you know, our ballpark has been, you know, ballpark of the year in all of minor league baseball. And we've had a lot of recognition. It's just, it turned out to be a beautiful ballpark. I'm proud of the staffs that I've had still to now. More now than 2 years ago when we dealt with all this COVID that changed all of our lives. Probably the most challenging year was certainly 2020 by far. And I went through a hurricane when I ran a team in Myrtle Beach, and I've been in New Orleans when tropical storms came through, but nothing like impacted us like that.
Well, you know, I know you're very humble, but congratulations to you for that. I probably feel like you should have been won it many more times with what they've done over there at the Knights ballpark. Tell you what, we're gonna take a break, okay, and we're gonna come back and talk about the sport of minor league baseball, where it is now, and look ahead to the future as well. Okay?
Great.
We'll be right back on the Delano Little Show here on BayHackleSports.com. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show on BayHackleSports.com. Chatting with a very dear friend of mine, Dan Rajkowski, the COO of the Charlotte Knights. And I love, personally, I may get myself in trouble here. I better be real careful. I've been to Bank of America Stadium. I've been to Wells Fargo Championship, which I think is a great venue. I've been to Spectrum Center and watched the Hornets play. But my favorite venue is Knight Stadium. I gotta be honest with you. The ballpark with the backdrop is one of my favorite, to sit there and just check out a ball game. And it's, I know it's AAA baseball where people don't. Some people are diehard fans of AAA baseball. They'll go in, they'll follow their players and try to follow them to the major leagues or whatever the case. But for most people, it's just enjoying a little bit of the pastime and getting out. You guys do such a good job at Knight Stadium of making sure that everybody enjoys the game. It's not just about what's on the field, it's everything around that too.
Well, I think it's really important. When we looked and designed this thing, I wanted it to look like it'd been there for a long time. Not to go through all the detail, but I wasn't even working here when we looked at that site. And I think there was a site study done. Don Beaver sent me down here. I came back and I said, if you're putting your money in, and I didn't know much about Charlotte, except for I looked at them, and nothing against the other sites. I said, that's the best site. If you're gonna put your money, put it there. It came to be great. Getting back to the ballpark, we understand our business. We're here to develop players for the Chicago White Sox. Thus the case, 13 of our guys are in the big leagues this year that started with us. Good for them, not so good for us, but we're here to develop. So you got to find another way to get people out, and that's a part of the experience, is to provide entertainment, to provide appearances, giveaways, fireworks, whatever you can, and hope that the social atmosphere, which it really is, you mentioned it, is you go out there and the game sometimes is secondary. It's created a social experience in our city, and it's growing and it's vibrant. I don't know if it's always about the game. Always nice to win.
Right.
But we love the venue. We were able to do a lot of things that we wanted to do in it. And then we're in a city where we were very intentional about how we wanted to approach this, is that we didn't want to be termed minor league. Nothing bad about it, but if we're going to have our other sports teams, we're not the NFL or the NBA, we're not NASCAR, but we're a AAA team, and the amenities and the product that we need to put out, customer service, food, appearance, cleanliness, all those kind of things, because we want people to have the comments that you just made, is saying, look, I love it. We've got great venues in this city, very fortunate, great sports teams, but in order to keep that approach going, you've got to very, very consistent in what you do. And that's what we try to do.
And when you've, gone through some of the things you've gone through, because if you're a great AAA team, it doesn't necessarily mean that your major league team is great. When you suck the life out of a AAA team and take it to major league, then the AAA team may not win as much. So winning and losing is not as important. Yep. But you got to get excited to see the Chicago White Sox. Every time you look up, they're close to the playoffs. And Tim Anderson, I know he didn't necessarily come through here, but so many players did come through here that I've seen before.
Yeah, if you look at the White Sox roster, and it just name dropping. Dylan Cease, who's having a great year. Michael Kopech. And if you look on any given day, 7 or 8 of the starting 9 guys all came through Charlotte within the last 4 or 5 years. Louis Robert, Jimenez. So we've been that part or that stopping ground, and they've moved quickly, which I think has hurt our club a little bit. These kids, very young, 23, 24, 25-year-old players, but have elevated through the system. And, while the White Sox are not doing as well as they'd hoped, they're still in contention, and a lot in part to some of the guys that we sent through in Charlotte.
You get asked this, and I figure, I have to feel like I need to ask it because people talk about Major League Baseball all the time. I mean, first of all, does it help to kind of determine that this could be baseball country when you see the Atlanta Braves and what they did last year, and the fact that they're second in attendance right now in Major League Baseball this year, and they were big attendance last year? Do you feel like you have enough people in the area to one day to go Major League Baseball?
I've been asked that question even before when we started building. And the answer is yes, in the future. But then I answer it back by saying, these are expensive ventures. And the buildings now that you're building for a Major League team are $1 billion or $1.5 billion or more. The question becomes, is there public money for that appetite to do that? And then the expansion franchises, or whether it's a relocation. And that's where you hear it, is when it comes up, is when Oakland's having a problem, which they are now, with a facility. Tampa's having a problem, which they've had for a while. They start naming cities. Well, you're going to naturally name Charlotte because it's one of the fastest growing, largest cities without Major League Baseball. The question remains is this community prepared to invest in that? And then the biggest part is you have the NFL, the NBA, we have NASCAR, golf. You've just added MLS. Is at an oversaturation of sports entertainment? And the answer is probably yes, based on the policy. Now, that's my opinion to it. But I think ultimately Charlotte will get Major League Baseball. I don't know when that will be. I think it's a few years away anyway. So the best we do is we put a very good AAA baseball team out there. We try to create that atmosphere. Certainly people are moving from all over the country, 100 a day coming here or more. I think the statistics, they're usually coming from a market that has baseball. So we're building that and generating that. And you know, one day I hope Major League Baseball does come here, and hopefully that's a part of the culture we cultivated with the Knights.
With that said, is there oversaturation? Has that hurt you now? I mean, with the MLS coming, has that cut into your numbers somewhat?
I think MLS has, yeah, because we go head to head.
Yes.
You know, when we have the NFL, we're going against one or two games that the Panthers have. Don't go against the Hornets unless they go deep in the playoffs. MLS, we have conflicts with it. It's more just the location is that we're trying to put a lot of people in a small area. We've worked through it. Panthers, Charlotte FC have been great in working with us. With the 30,000, it's different. Where the challenges become is actually it's the concerts. The more entertainment that's going on there, where you're drawing 70, 75,000 people, you're kind of cutting off a lot of the roads. So we've had to play at noon or 1 o'clock. We've shift some games, play double headers. We'll get through it. But it's just a part of it. I think it's a part of the success of sports in this city. And with that, you have to adapt, which means more light rail, means more shuttles. People are taking more lifts. People are parking in different locations. So just adapting to it.
Do you feel in time, you may have answered this question already, but do you feel with the growth of the city, with all the people that are coming here, I mean, we're always seemingly in the top 5 or top 10 of people moving to this city. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it will get to a point where saturation will not be a problem at all for everybody? Everybody will have their own chance to get dollars.
I think there will. You know, where the challenge becomes is, you know, we're different seasons is you look at sponsorship and you look at suites, and those are high dollar type things that corporations that many teams rely on. If we don't have the suite products or these companies, the attendance, you know, this is an active town. We've had games where the Hornets were playing. In May, it was, I guess, 2 or 3 years back. They had the race up at the Speedway. Hornets were playing, and we were playing. And all of us were packed. So it tells you the city can do it. It's just when you're putting them in a one location or close proximity, that's where you get the challenge of how we get people here. But we've had 3 or 4 games with MLS, and they've worked. We've had 7,000 or 8,000, not 10,000, but 7 or 8 is pretty good.
Well, Tim was the mainstay when it first started.
Sure was. And we're averaging 7,500 now coming out of COVID, which people have asked me. I'm thrilled with. You know, I'm never happy without, unless you're sold out. I mean, my answer is how many did you draw tonight? It's not enough unless it's 10,000. But that's good. And we learned a lot of things through this mess. And one of the things is don't take for granted what we had. You know, we were enjoying it. We were leading the country in attendance 4 years in a row, and things were great. And this whirlwind hit us. But it taught us a lot, and it taught us to be creative. It also taught us to value our people and appreciate when you do have games, because we went a long time without them.
Come back and we talk a little bit more personal life, what you do, what you do.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back. The Delano Little Show on BayAquaSports.com. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show on BayAquaSports.com. We're here with Dan Rajkowski, COO of the Charlotte Knights. And we've been talking about, in the last segment, we were talking about the spending of the dollars amongst the major franchises around it. And I include you guys in the major franchises, even though it's AAA. You still draw numbers and still have done a fantastic job. The one thing that I find crazy. And I asked you in the commercial break, did you know Danny Morrison? And and you do. Danny Morrison, we've had him here on the Delano Little Show, and we talked about Fred Whitfield, I guess the president of the Charlotte Hornets. It would seem that you guys would all kind of battle each other for dollars, but you all get along very well, and I think that's what's been the success of Charlotte sports, even with the Wells Fargo Championship, which came in back in the day, back in 2005, 2006 when they started, and they said, we want to make it an experience that everybody wants to come back for. And it seems like everybody that runs franchises here feels the same way, and you all get along.
You're right. Completely correct. We've talked about it often. We've been on panels. When the ACC was looking to come here, still looking to come here, we all were asked to talk about the importance of Charlotte sports, and unequivocally, we all get along great. I consider them friends. I think they may as well. They're in a time where I couldn't feel comfortable picking up the phone for anything, personally, to Fred or Danny or Nick when he was right there. We just got to know each other. Tara with the Checkers, and you go, the list is on and on. The Independents. When we all get together, we know we're a fraternity. We all get that we're responsible for our own businesses. But I think that's just success is breeding it. And I think that sports entertainment is really important to this city. It's obvious. We're next to the NASCAR Hall of Fame and all things. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we all get along. If you go to Marcus Smith up at the Speedway, same kind of thing. And
he's also been on Delano Little Show.
Yeah.
We've hit the home runs.
You got everybody. But I think that tells you that we all see it as important to the success of our community and our region, because we're not just Charlotte. People coming from Fort Mill, Cabarrus County, and Iredell. And so really important that we have that. And then a lot of these people have been mainstays for many years, and that's rare. I've been here at 16, and Fred, I think, same time came here. Danny's been here for a long time, Panthers now in his role. So I think we've just over the course of time created a friendship that extended to our business relationships to where they know if they got something going on, they can pick up the phone, and it's a yes for me. And I feel the same way about them.
ACC tournament, baseball tournament. I was living in a nearby place and saw the Georgia Tech head coach one day, and I talked to him real quick, and everybody was excited about that. Is that something that helps you guys in the bid to try to get the ACC to move here?
No question. They tried not to relate it, but we're very committed to this baseball tournament. During COVID, we drew the 5th largest attendance, and this is when we're opening at 20% capacity. So tells you how interested people are to come to Charlotte. It's great for tourism here, almost a $10 million economic impact just for those 15 games in that 5 days. We love having it at the facility. My staff, not so much, because we played 30-something games in 28 days, but it's good for our community. We're committed to doing it as often as they can. Not every year, because it's a strain, but certainly every other year. And I think, I don't want to speak for them, but they love their experience. We've got great comments, and it's just another outside event that we do, and working with Charlotte Regional Visitor Authority and and our partners, Center City partners, city, county, to try and get this here. And certainly the city's committed to getting the ACC offices here as well.
AAA baseball in a good state?
We're in a good state. We had some transition 2 years ago with MLB, and we're now governed by Major League Baseball. So it was a lot of change. A lot of adapting, understanding, learning each other. I think at the end of the day, it's going to be very good for our business. But when you've been in it 35 or 6 years like I have, with one set of rules and understanding, change is not always the easiest thing. But I think the strength of Major League Baseball, from the things that they can bring to these 120 minor league teams, whether it's just national sponsorships and technology, and we're one of the few teams that has ABS, the automated balls and strikes.
Gotcha.
Charlotte's got it, and they hope that'll get to the major league level, and trying to get some of these things to our game and help us change our game a little bit. We're getting slow. It's too long.
Yes.
3-hour games.
Major League Baseball has struggled, obviously,
No question.
especially with the
Yes.
holdout, of course, at the beginning of this season. Yeah.
They've got some issues, and we've got to do a better job with working at the Latino markets and things that we don't do the greatest of jobs. We're getting better at it. But the diverse community that we live in here in Charlotte is something that we really focus on. We rely on people coming to games. I mean, it's pretty simple. And as we talked off air, this isn't that hard. You just got to provide a good form of entertainment, have it fun. And we'll get through the changes with MLB, and I've seen some that are positive already. And so we'll see as things come down the road.
I know you're busy all the time. Your staff, by the way, is fantastic. They always have been. Tommy Viola is still with you. What do you do to get away for fun? Do you do anything? Do you go on vacation? What do you do?
I'm a short vacation guy. I'll go weekends. My wife and I built a home in Huntersville, so we lived up there 5 or 6 years. I like to work. I mean, I still do. I'm not doing it as much. Starting to get back to golf. My daughter's now out of college. And
what's your handicap?
Poor. I've only played a few times. I actually had surgery a few years ago, and the doctor's like, that's probably pick up something else, but there's not a lot else. But I started to pick it back up, and just worried about making sure that we're not injuring anything. And it's a lot of time. I'm not real good at 5 and 6 hours being out, but I do like playing it, and it's a social thing. Fish a little bit. Haven't done it so much, but that's something that I've enjoyed and picked up when I lived in Louisiana. There's no better fishing in the country. And and now getting ready for my daughter's getting married, so I'm into looking at wedding venue things.
Awesome,
and I'm a grandfather. I got 2 grandkids. They live in Maine, so we spend a little bit of time when we can get to them. And so life's pretty good. We're enjoying it.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations on a long career and continuing your career with the Charlotte Knights. Thank you so much. Dan Rajkowski, a pleasure to meet you.
Appreciate it, Delano.
We're done with the Delano Little Show for now, but we hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.